We all have those days, those weeks, those months where we're completely unmotivated to study. Have you ever considered that there are causes to this? It doesn't just randomly happen. You need to find that sweet spot for yourself between balance, romanticization, rest, focus, and socialization. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about how you can stay motivated to study and how you can do it yourself when there's nobody pressuring you, nobody telling you, study now, you need to do this or this or this or this. My entire life, there has never been anybody there telling me, forcing me to study. For a lot of my life, actually, people have been discouraging me to study. So many things like, you're never going to get a good grade in this subject. You're not smart enough to go and do A-level further maths. People like us don't move to London. You are never going to be a doctor. Just a few phrases that I've heard in my time. And this makes it extremely hard to stay motivated to study. You really have to motivate yourself when there are literally people tearing you down at every step of the way. These are my top tips. Things that I did to get 5 A stars in my A-levels, almost all grade 9s at GCSE. I seriously need to improve this setup. The 2016 Apple headphones. In fact, I still don't have a tripod and you're rested on top of my microwave. Yeah, I really need to invest in some equipment. As I mentioned, you really need to find a sweet spot. Real key to this is romanticization, but romanticization because it helps you focus. Pure romanticization and no focus is going to get you nowhere. You see those memes online that are like the girl with 900 highlighters coming out with a C, and that's because if you just romanticize, you don't actually do the work, there's no point. Romanticization of studying can be an absolutely excellent tool to motivate you to study. Romanticization, it can't just stop there. It has to be the motivator. It has to be the driving factor. So, some of my favourite things to do. Honestly, Pinterest. Make mood boards. Make Pinterest boards of your dream life. I know so many people who do this, so many people who have specific goals as well. Is there a specific university you want to go to? Make a Pinterest board about it. Do you want to go and work a specific job, like maybe be a lawyer, be a banker or something? Make a Pinterest board of it. Visualize your dream life and realize you have to work to get there. In addition to this, using Pinterest is so much better than doom scrolling. Okay, you're still using your phone or your iPad or whatever, but you are actually motivating yourself to go and do work rather than just, scrolling on TikTok for hours. More romanticization tips. Cute study spots. Nothing worse than sitting down to a desk, it being completely cluttered. Papers are everywhere, it's disorganized. You just will not want to do any work. Even if your space isn't cute, make it clean, make it tidy. This was a real key for me because if I sat down at a desk and there was paper absolutely everywhere and it was disorganized, I would just be like, oh, I need to sort this out and then I have to study. I don't want to sort it out and I definitely don't want to study. So yes, keep your study spot tidy. Additionally, keep your study space cozy. Make it somewhere you want to go and sit down to. I found it really helpful to have all of my A-level textbooks laid out on my desk, or all my GCSE textbooks. I had like plants, I had candles, I had a huge carafe of water, hydration. Sitting at that desk every day when I was studying, it kind of became my space to study. When I sat down at that desk, I knew I was going to be studying. My brain associated it with studying. Now, this does lead me on to say, there have been a few studies about whether you should always study in the same spot or whether you should mix it up a bit. What do I think about this? I think the reason there have been a few studies is because it really depends. Some people find that having one set space that they will be studying, so their desk or maybe their kitchen table or maybe a certain space in the library, allows their brain to associate that place with revision, with studying, with homework, whatever. Other people, however, find that if they constantly go back to the same place, they get really bored of it. And this leads me on to my next point. Mix up your study spaces. And for me, I found that having my one study space, my brain associated it with studying. My brain associated it with homework, associated it with revision, associated it with academics. I found if I was studying for a long period of time in a day, which inevitably around the actual exam season, you probably will be doing, you need to mix it up. Because if I was doing long study days in the exact same space, I hated it. So mix it up. Go to a cute coffee shop, go to a cafe, go to your local library. Or even what I did was just go to a different area of my house. So I would spend the morning studying in my bedroom and then I would go down to my dad's office and then I would go into my dining room. I'd go into my kitchen. Whatever it may be, I would just switch up the study space as long as it was quiet, so I could focus, and I was switching it up throughout the day. This really helped me keep motivated. If I was just sitting at the same place all day, I hated it. Speaking of the pastel highlighters, girl, genuinely do keep your notes pretty, make them presentable, do them how you want is kind of the point that I want to make here. So personally, when I was making notes, particularly at GCSE, they were incredibly messy. To the degree I could not study from my notes because they were that bad. When I was revising, I was writing out my revision resources, and what I did, I made them look pretty, I made them presentable, and I actually had a really nice time doing it. Colour coding things. Colour coding, right, this is a slight tangent. Colour code your subjects. I always joke about there being like a colour for each subject. Maths is red, biology is green, chemistry is blue, physics is red, for example. My brain associated these colours with each subject. Each subject had a different colour. This all came from the colour of my exercise books when I was at school. What I would do, I would colour code my notes, doing a mind map. The bubble in the middle will be coloured in green if it was biology. I don't know what it was. I found that this really helped me by colour coding my notes, and when I was trying to make my revision sheets, summary sheets, condensed notes that I was writing towards exam season more pretty, I would do it in that specific colour. Now, this can be a slippery slope, but let me just put a little disclaimer in here. If you spend all of your revision time doing a really cute title, writing in calligraphy, learning calligraphy, this is not a good use of your time. However, if you can spend 5 minutes colour coding, making everything look cute, like illustrations and stuff, and then spend an hour revising, perfect. If you're spending 55 minutes colouring and drawing and then doing no actual revision, not going to be helpful. And you know, if you're doing this is not a, oh, I was revising, why is nothing going in? You know that you spent the entire time colouring in. Use this one, like caveat, use this one to motivate yourself, but don't use it to waste your time. Build a reward system into your routine. Huge thing that I didn't do when I was doing my GCSEs. It's something that I learned when I did my A-levels. It's so easy to be hard on yourself. It's the best students and the most determined students you'll often find being incredibly hard on themselves. I need to work, and not allowing themselves breaks or not allowing themselves rewards. I can't have a day off until I've finished my mocks, and then your mocks finish, you're like, well, it's nearly Christmas, I'll wait until then. Christmas comes around, it's like, oh, I need to revise more mocks. And the cycle continues, and you will just get burnt out. When I say build a reward system, I mean actually do things that you want as a reward. And this does not have to feed into consumerism. I see it all the time, and it really winds me up. You don't have to be like, oh, well, if I get a good grade in this, I can buy this. It doesn't have to be something you buy. It can be anything. It can be something you do. I want to have an entire day off work, not think about anything, maybe go on a trip or something. But it doesn't have to be like, if I do this, I will buy this, which I see so many people do. Also, with the reward system, like, I am incredibly skeptical to give this advice because I know that some people take it the complete wrong way and people use it in really toxic ways. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I can buy this, but at the same time, there is the other end of the spectrum. Some people are literally like, I won't allow myself to go out until I've finished my mock exams. Ooh, if I finish all of the past papers, then I can go out and see my friends and I can exercise. This is not what I mean. I'm aware what I'm saying is pretty wishy-washy, but you really need to find that balance, and that's why. That's the point I'm trying to make. It's a balance. It's not like I can allow myself to do this very basic human need once I've studied. No. But at the same time, it's not like, oh, if I study for 20 minutes, I can go and buy like a Tiffany necklace. Somewhere in between, please. And then now I'm going on to talk about breaks. So as I was saying, like, going outside, seeing your friends, exercising, incredibly important to not burn yourself out. You need to take consistent breaks. And I don't just mean like a day off a week. I mean, you need to take breaks throughout the day. Like when you're studying, I would say try and use the Pomodoro method. What the Pomodoro method is you study for 25 minutes, take a 5-minute break, and then you do this 4 times, and then take an extended break. Go outside, go and get some fresh air, go on a walk, do some exercise, go and see your friends, whatever it may be, whatever makes you happy. You need to take consistent breaks throughout the day, not just like one a week or even less than that. If you don't take breaks, you are seriously going to burn yourself out. And also, if you don't take proper breaks, you're going to burn yourself out. What I mean by proper break, if you're doing a Pomodoro, for example, you have a 5-minute break, don't go on your phone in that 5-minute break. That is not a proper break. You're still looking at a screen. And when take time away from your study space, get out of your study space, don't spend all of your time at home. So working at home and then just going on your phone at home. Get out of that environment and go and do something completely different. I feel like when I go on my phone, I've not had a proper break. Have a proper break. I want to be doing something else, a hobby, socializing, going out, seeing my family, doing sports. More on romanticization, 3 drinks theory. Hear me out. I use this religiously. So the 3 drinks theory is that you need to have 3 drinks with you at all times. 1 is for hydration, water. 1 is for caffeine, coffee, Pepsi, whatever. And then 1 is for fun. To be fair, my drink rotation is usually water, Pepsi Max, and coffee. So I've kind of got 2 caffeine drinks in there. I see a lot of people do this at LSE actually, and I've never seen more bubble tea consumed on a university campus. A lot of people have got like their huge bottle of water, bubble tea, and then usually like a Pret coffee as well. The reason this works is because it's romanticization, but it's also keeping you hydrated. It's just something that you can have there that's a little bit of fun. As you can see, I use the word fun quite loosely. I really know how to have a good time. Music. So I actually found that when I listen to classical music, I just felt like an absolute academic weapon. This is so different for so many people. You do need to test it out and see what works for you. Some people hate listening to music. Some people listen to binaural beats. That's what I was doing when I did my GCSEs. People listen to lo-fi. Some people listen to music with lyrics. Personally found that listening to music with lyrics really distracts me. I try not to do that if I'm trying to learn something. Classical music, there have actually been some studies that say that if you listen to classical music while you're studying, can help things get into your memory better. However, it was concluded when you listen to classical music only helps things get into your short-term memory better, not your long-term. It's not actually going to have any real benefit when you're doing revision for your exams, because when you're revising for your exams, you're trying to get things into long-term memory. When you're studying, you're trying to get things into your long-term memory, not your short-term. However, when I study, I like to listen to classical music because it just does make me feel like an academic weapon. Tailoring the type of music you listen to for each subject. This is something that I started doing when I did my A-levels, and I'm really glad that I did. So when I was studying maths, I would listen to classical, but it was like fast-paced classical. So if you've seen Oppenheimer, you know the soundtrack. Music that's playing in the background while he's like doing all the maths equations, or in Interstellar, for example. Like, can you hear the music? Experience, Cornfield Chase, these kind of songs of that sort of genre. Still don't have lyrics, but are a bit faster than your classical, like Beethoven or something. And then when I was studying business or economics or something a bit more content dense, more like essay writing, genuinely listened to Animal Crossing lo-fi. Don't knock it until you've tried it. I really like Animal Crossing. I'd listen to Animal Crossing lo-fi and I'd look up at my YouTube screen and Tom Nook would be working. So I was like, well, I'd better work as well. Anyways, a lot of people find this helpful. Having unique playlists for every one of their subjects. And then your brain sort of like associates the music with that subject. It can also help you in exams. And then socializing and exercise. It is so much better to spend like 3 hours revising, an hour doing exercise, an hour socialising every day than it would be to do 5 hours of studying 5 days a week and then only socialising and only exercising at the weekend. Building that balance into your everyday routine is what can keep you consistently motivated. Do a little bit of everything every day. I feel it will be way more productive. Do genuinely experience diminishing marginal productivity, which is an economics term, but it basically means that the longer you study for, the less productive you will become. The longer you socialise with your friends for, the less you will enjoy it. And that is why, especially if you're a university student and you do an intense course or something, you notice that your terms are incredibly intense. If you don't make time for exercise and socializing, you feel really burnt out. You go home, you crash out, then you still find, even though you're doing nothing, you're not even enjoying doing nothing. You need to find that balance every day, and building that balance into your everyday life makes your life so much more fulfilling. By doing that, that is how you stay motivated, believing in yourself. And I found this incredibly difficult throughout my life. There have been a lot of people telling me, like, you're not smart enough, you're not good enough, you can never do that. When there are people constantly feeding you that narrative, it can be really hard. Honestly, this is something that I would love to study about the UK education system, the way in which students are encouraged in different educational establishments. But a lot of people will have had a teacher that said, like, there's no way you can get this grade, or you're dumb, or you mess about too much, you're going nowhere. This can genuinely be seriously harmful for your self-esteem. It's about believing in yourself, and when you don't constantly have somebody telling you that you are good enough, it can be really difficult. That leads me on to say, even if you do have that, you seriously need to build this intrinsic sense of self-worth. You can't constantly be doing things to please other people, because that burns you out in itself, because you will never consistently get praise throughout your life. No matter how well you're doing, you won't get praise, especially as you get older. You need to be able to look at what you've done and be like, I am proud of myself. Not be like, show it to somebody else and be like, look at all this stuff I've done, and wait for them to celebrate you. A lot of the time that won't happen, especially if you go into higher education. Nobody is giving you a pat on the back at every opportunity. You need to learn how to be proud of yourself. You need to learn how to build that intrinsic sense of self-worth. Also, not build your self-worth solely on your successes. If you think like, oh well, I'm great, I've studied this much, I'm going to get a good grade, and then you don't get a good grade for some reason, you can feel awful about yourself. But if you have this intrinsic sense of self-worth, I want to study because I deserve to study, I have the opportunity to study, I enjoy this keeps you motivated to keep going. And even if you don't do as well as you wanted to, you have a setback or something, this will seriously like soften the blow and it won't send you into a spiral. These are probably my top tips to stay motivated to study, but you can probably apply these to any area of life: sports, hobbies, trying to build a skill, trying to progress in your career. Yes, I hope you found this helpful and I hope it helps you succeed in your exams. If you like this video, then don't forget to like and subscribe, and thank you very much for watching. Love you guys. Bye bye.